Hannah, do you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so hi everybody, my name is Hannah. I live in Colorado. Kind of an interesting story. I moved a lot, maybe every 2 or 3 years of my life. I ended up in Colorado. I went to CU Boulder, studied architecture. It was funny, I was actually talking to you before why I chose architecture. I literally chose it because it sounded cool. I didn't choose it for any other reason. I think growing up, whenever people ask you in high school, what do you want to do for the rest of your life, I had no idea. And so I chose architecture because it sounded cool and it seemed like they made good money, and luckily I liked it, which is nice. I went to Boulder, I studied there, graduated, I've been working at my architecture firm now for, how long have I been? Like 5 years now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you like architecture, what you do right now? Currently?
Yeah, I definitely do. It's nice. I've been in the industry for like 5 years, and it's been fun. I do a lot of graphic production and then a lot of blueprints and the stuff, it's been a good one.
That's really interesting. So Hannah, I know that you have a really awesome side hustle that you've been growing on, the side, whatever hours of the day that you have left, you've been dedicating your time to that, which is awesome. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I realized being in college that being in architecture and having a job for the rest of my life really wasn't going to be the only source of income that I wanted. And it's funny, whenever I was about to graduate college, I had my sister come to me and she's like, Hannah, you have to meet this woman. She's the most amazing person in the world. And I was like, good for you. And my sister at that time was always meeting people. Like, it wasn't surprising that she had met someone successful. I was like, good for you. And so she finally convinced me to sit down and have coffee with her. And she was the first person in my entire life. Like, I think I was like 22 at this point. And she was the first person in my life to ever challenge me and say, like, that's great. Your architecture firm sounds awesome. Like, your path sounds awesome. I'm really proud of you. But is that going to give you the lifestyle that you want? And I sat there and I was like, no, I don't think so. And I was so angry because it was the first time I had ever actually thought about it. Like, I'm about to graduate college. Is this actually what I want to do for the rest of my life? And I sat there with my mentor now, and I said, no, like, I want to go snowboarding on a Tuesday, and I want to have choices, and I want to travel, and I want to have fun, and I want to be able to pay for stuff whenever I want, and I don't think that, let alone architecture, but any job was really going to give me that. So I decided to figure out I want a different way of making money, and in that sense, that's how I really came across multi-level marketing.
Oh, can you tell us a little bit more about multi-level marketing? Because I think that's a concept that's still not, it's been around for a long time, right?
Yeah.
But it's not like blasting. I don't see like glimpses of it all over social media. So what is it, and like how profitable is it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's interesting with the multi-level marketing. There's different names for it, like direct selling, network marketing, multi-level marketing. A lot of people call it different things, but there's so many companies and there's so many really great companies. So you really have to figure out like what company that you want to be associated with. I would say that the best thing is to get associated with a company that has a good training system. But really what multi-level marketing is that it's an effective way to have you duplicate. It's a duplication system in the sense. And so what it is that, like, if you think about, like, let's say example for franchising.
Yeah.
Right? Like franchising, you have the parent company and then they're allowed to hire other people that have their franchisees. And their franchisees have their own company. That's more like unilateral marketing though.
Okay.
And franchising is different than multi-level marketing. Multi-level marketing allows you to go deeper. And so if you have the parent company and they have a franchisee is then allowed to sponsor or help another person below them, and they become successful and profitable in that sense. And so there's incentive for everyone to be profitable because the parent company doesn't necessarily always have time to train or help everyone in their network. And so if they have their A person, if the franchisee or the franchise person says, hey, I want you to go out and help other people, I will pay you to do that, then A is now incentivized to go help B. And then B is incentivized to go help C. And so you're doing the same thing, right? Like A, B, and C. They're still selling products and they're still servicing people, but now they're incentivized to help other people do it in a sense. So it's different than traditional business where it just stops at that uni-level marketing. And so there's differences, but there's also a lot of benefit.
That's really cool. That's really, really interesting you got into that. When you got into multi-level marketing, can you tell us a little about your journey? Like, were there any obstacles you encountered?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure it was really interesting in the beginning, but I'm sure there were probably like objections towards, MLMs in general.
Yeah, so it was interesting. Whenever I first got around MLM or kind of that network marketing company, it was, for me, bliss. I absolutely loved it. I loved the entire thing. Growing up, my mom was actually a part of multiple different MLM companies, and I really only saw success. I saw her being profitable. I saw her being successful. I saw her friends being successful. And so for me, it was a really great option. And it's funny going in, seeing other people's reactions, like my friends. Yeah, so my friends, I would say, some of them were positive and some of them were like, heck yeah, you're gonna go crush it. I'm so excited for you and your new business or side hustle.
Yeah.
And then other people were like, no, don't do it.
Oh.
Don't do it. Watch out. You're gonna get scammed. Watch out for those things. It's not real. It's fake. Something like that. For example, one of my friends, he actually had come to me, and I was really touched by this. But he came to me, and he had done his research on Google, which is kind of a weird thing, but he like printed out an entire forest of different facts about all these things, about how MLM is bad and network marketing is a scam and you're not going to make money and this person's aunt never made any money and stuff. And he's just telling me about how I was going to ruin my life. And I just had to take a second to be like, look, I appreciate you. I appreciate that you came to me and told me about this. You must really value our friendship, but you're wrong. And I'm really glad that I had the backbone to say that, because my life is great. I've been so successful, and this has been such a great journey in MLM for me. But other people that really would have taken down. And for me, what made a difference is that I saw people who were successful. Maybe some other people don't. And then I also did my own personal research. So I actually went and I met the people who I was working with. I asked my own questions. I went to the government agencies and actually researched if the company was legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I had more grounding, whereas other people that could have been an obstacle.
Got it. That makes sense. I really respect and look up to the fact that you have your full-time job and you're also growing a side hustle on the side. It takes a lot of commitment.
Yeah.
And just a lot of work in general to do that. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about profitability in the MLM business?
Oh yeah.
I've heard, on multiple levels that it's very profitable.
Yeah.
But it's not like a, quick money scam. You can't just get in there and say, oh, I'm gonna make money, and then random $2,000 come flowing to you tomorrow. You have to build up some connections and stuff. Can you walk us through the process on how that works?
Yeah, exactly. So it's funny whenever people come in and say, I don't want to be a part of those get rich quick schemes, but then they're upset because they're not getting rich quick. I've never really understood that. And so with something like that, yeah, it is going to take time, and anything worth building is going to take time. And that's the thing, is that what's really cool about MLM or network marketing is that you go at your own pace. If you're over here the economy's crashed, inflation is real, I need to make money, then it's really based on your own work ethic. But if you're over here no, I just need to make an extra $500 for to pay off my car loan or something like that, or to pay off my student loan, then you can do that. And the profitability is really up to you and depending on your work ethic. And I don't really know too many opportunities in business where that's possible. In my architecture firm, if I work harder, I don't get paid more. And there's a lot of businesses where you don't get paid overtime. And maybe if you do, then you're still not going to get paid more than your boss. Mm-hmm. Whereas in MLM or network marketing, typically you have to check with the company, but typically the harder that you work, you can actually pass the people that are above you.
Wow, that's so fascinating, and it's kind of very promising for hard workers that there is a way out other than just 9 to 5, but then you 9 to 9, like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. kind of jobs.
Yep.
That's really cool. Can you tell us a little bit about your personal finance journey? Like, did you get any education about that at home ever? And where did you start learning about finances? Like,
Ooh.
especially personal finances, you know?
That is a good question, actually. So, in high school, I went to high school in Littleton, and I took, or there was a course that was offered. It was something called like life skills or life management, and my dad was adamant, you have to take this. And I'm really glad that I did, because I didn't want to, but I was like, okay, Dad, I just took it to kind of please him. But it's actually ironic looking at it now, because only 20 kids out of like the 200 or 300 that were in the grade got to be in the class. And I think that more schools should be teaching this, but they taught me how to write a check. They taught me how to balance a checkbook. They taught me how to, in a basic sense of like what taxes were. And that's whenever I got introduced to actually financial concepts, such as assets, liabilities, how to make your money work for you, all this like jargon and stuff. And then I got introduced to different authors like Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and just different authors of books and different mindset. You know, in high school, maybe you're not necessarily starting your own business, but it starts that mindset. And I think maybe that's why when my sister came to me in college and was like, I met this woman, she's the most amazing person ever, I was like, okay, cool. Like, she knows how to make money. And for me, it just made sense. Like, there's other ways of making money than working. I just don't know how.
Right.
And I was willing to actually ask the questions rather than being skeptical. And skeptical, negative people never get anywhere in their life.
Wow, that's so inspiring. That is so inspiring, I think, for every high schooler out there, and for every like teenager, really, that there's so much information these days to teach about finances. You don't have to like be stuck in a corporate office with a suit and tie and like not come home for whatever, you know?
Yeah, and some people like that. Some people are totally fine with being an employee, and
that's true.
That's great. Like, if someone's happy, then don't change. But if you're not happy, you're empowered to change.
Exactly. That's so cool. That's a great line.
Yeah.
Which kind of I'm curious about, before you started, or maybe even during this MLM process of starting your own business and like learning, have you ever thought about other businesses you could potentially join or start one day?
Interesting. I honestly have never. I've never really considered leaving MLM or network marketing. There's so many good businesses out there. There's so many profitable businesses out there, and there's so many ways to make money. But for me, I just really enjoyed the fact of what I was doing. It works for me, and so I just didn't want to do something that didn't work. Also, other businesses, I think in a sense, are high risk. Not all of them, but there's more high risk associated with other businesses, and more income or capital investment in the beginning. And then also, this MLM, for me, it just had mentorship attached to it. And that was the biggest thing for me, that like mentorship was the biggest part. I would have loved to do something else, like real estate, Bitcoin, I don't know, any other ones, but it didn't have mentorship attached to it, and so I didn't know how to do it. And I think that's why most companies fail, is because they don't have someone teaching them and showing them and saying, no, that's a dumb idea, don't do that. Or, yeah, that's a great idea, do that. So I think that the mentorship portion has been the biggest attractive force keeping me in MLM.
That's so cool. And I kind of want to pick your brain a little bit. You know, like if I was a young person and I just came out of whichever schooling stage I had conducted, how do I go about finding a mentor? Like, how do I connect and like, you know, get to know people? Do I just go and online try to find? What is the best way to figure out how to get mentorship, you know?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think just being out in the world. I think that there's so many opportunities, whether it's networking opportunities, you can go out to, I don't know, there's a lot of apps where you can just go online, I think like Meetup or what are some other ones? Events. I can't remember. Eventbrite, there you go. Eventbrite has some ones of like networking, and then just being around like-minded people. And then I think that if you're younger, an obvious one would be, okay, someone older than me, right? Because maybe they've lived through those experiences, but also if you're trying to find a mentor, you don't necessarily want to find someone who's just, oh, they're in the same industry, or, oh, they're older than me. You have to check the fruit on the tree. Are they actually producing success the way that you want? And maybe it doesn't even have to be in the same industry. Maybe they're just great at this, and you're like, I'm attracted to that. And then being bold enough to be like, can I take you out to coffee? Can I pick your brain? Can I just be your pupil or something like that? So
That's really fun. That's like really, really cool. And that reminds me, I wanted to know from you, like, this is probably a question I should have asked you in the beginning, but with all of this into account, you're a very busy woman, right?
Yeah.
You're like constantly networking,
Yeah.
you're like MLMing, and you have a full-time job. What does a day-to-day look like, and how do you find time for yourself throughout the day?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. I have really tried to become disciplined with my schedule. So this is something that my mentors have actually taught me to be dedicated and disciplined with my schedule. So I actually have like a printout of my schedule for the week. Saturday, or I guess that's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, all the way through Saturday, and I block off the stuff that I cannot do. I cannot be productive when I'm at my job because I'm already working then.
Right.
And then there's other things of like I go to church, so I block off that time. I want to be invested into church. Or there's other time whenever I know that I value working out and being healthy, so I try to schedule that in. And then you'd be surprised on how much blank space there is, right? Like, am I going to do something before work? Whenever I get up and I'm getting ready, can I listen to a podcast? Can I listen to something productive? Can I go to the gym before I go to work? Something like that. And then after work, am I doing something while I'm commuting on the bus? Am I trying to talk to people so that I can network for my company? And then just being productive with about where I'm going. A lot of the times in network marketing or multi-level marketing, I think people say like, oh, you're trying to find people or you're trying to poach people. For me personally, I just live my life in a very natural, organic way, and I'm just in the world. If I'm on the bus, I think it's more rude to not acknowledge the person who's sitting next to me. And so I'm going to say hi, and
Right.
if they're friendly back, then I'm going to have a conversation. If they're not, then maybe they just had a weird day and I'll just talk to someone else.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's really, really inspiring. I'm so glad that you have that mentality, because I think America has a really high, depression rate because of not talking to people, which is so cool that you like took initiative to say, well, this is just gonna help me with my social skills and like with my neighbors. So perfect combination.
Yeah, definitely.
Why don't we talk about the idea of finances or money in our society?
Oh, yeah.
Because I think that there's a lot to learn. And everyone, especially in our generation, we're trying to take action to learn, right? Like our parents' generation, maybe they were a little bit maybe reluctant to talk about it because they worked so hard, or maybe they themselves had to still figure out what is money, how do we earn this stuff, why is it so hard to talk about, and then it didn't get passed down to us, and here we are all talking about it amongst ourselves to try learn.
Yeah.
Why is it so hard for people to talk about it then? Like if we're all trying to learn it,
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like I've really thought about this a lot, and this is a topic that has kind of like perplexed me, but I think it's because some people don't have a way to get out of their situation. Mm-hmm. I think that people like the idea of making more money or having more choices over their time or freedom or, not going to work, something like that, independence, but I think that people don't have an option. They don't have a choice. They know their job or their situation right now, but they don't know what their plan B is, or they don't know what the next step would be, and so it's easier to just not think about it. I feel like that's kind of what holds people back, just that kind of like learned helplessness of, I don't have a way out, so I'm not even going to think about it.
Do you think that mindset, is it easy to reverse it, or is it easier to be stuck in it forever?
I think that people don't know what they want until they know what they can have, and people don't know what they can have until it's made available. Mm-hmm. And I think that if anyone is looking for different ways on how to become independent or have more choices over their life, they're going to come across something. And I think that is enough to reverse that situation where they're like, I don't have a choice. I think for people who are just even thinking about it, that's enough to be like, I want to take action. I want to do something else.
Hannah, if there is one thing or two things or whatever you feel like that you want to leave the audience with today, maybe some advice or something that you hold on really dear and near to, what would that be?
Yeah, I would say do something. Like, just do anything. I think that there's so many people, like you said, who are depressed right now, or don't really like their job, or maybe in my case, like, I love my job. I love what I do. I just don't want to do it forever.
Yeah.
I think just do something. If it's not multi-level marketing, get into real estate, get into Bitcoin, get into having your own recruiting business. Like, do something to where that you can have more choices over your life. You're not subject to one thing only.
Right. That's such a good word. Thank you, Hannah. I really appreciate your time. I hope you enjoyed this. This is a very knowledgeable woman here, and I really appreciate you talking to me. Thank you.
Definitely.